Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Jannu tribe. And we are over at Mother's Peninsula, where we have so many little children and so many babies busy playing under the very watchful eye of the parents who are in charge of watching them. Let's see, are there any clams for us to eat down here? Not today, so we can send Oka back up to keep an eye on the kids. Oh, and there's a bunny! There's a bunny! I think that Rila may enjoy having a bunny snack really quickly. There we go. And she's gonna go ahead and snack on that. I'm really glad that bunny just ran right up to her, right at the waterfall, maybe stopping to get a drink, and gave her plenty of food. But we are starting off at Mother's Peninsula, where all of the children are taking up every nest, and it just seems like there is a baby underfoot everywhere you look. I know a lot of you guys were very worried about the babies, because apparently I wasn't keeping a close enough eye on keeping adults with them last time. But don't worry, there's currently no birds in the sky, so I think everybody should be safe to play and frolic. And I have to say, it is such a relief to see so many little young ones being able to run around and really have a great time at Mother's Peninsula, even though we have, and actually I think I'm going to move Nuta over so he can keep an eye on itty bitty little Kuduk, but even though we have abandoned Mother's Peninsula in the past, it is very recent that Honoro, in his position as kind of the heir and bringing the legacy of all of the stories and all of the work that the tribe has done for so long as Seers of the Tide Pool, his position has been to bring back the traditions and bring back some of these stronger stories of what the Seers really did for the tribe. He was given that by his mother, and I'm going to feel so bad because off the top of my head I can't remember his mother's name. So alright, we've got a gigantic, I wish there was a way to like star some of your creatures when you have them in the family tree, and I wish you could keep the whole family tree so you could like trace down the lineage. That would be so cool. But give me just a second. There's Honoro. Oh, I don't even see his mom anymore. Oh, that's so sad. Oh, wait, no, there she is. What am I saying? Isila. Yeah, Isila, who was the last seer with the most strength of all of the seers of the tide pool that we currently have had in the last couple generations. She tasked her son with carrying on the legacy with all the stories and returning them to their traditions. And as you can tell by the very many webbed children, webbed-footed children running around underfoot, he has definitely managed to do that. And we actually have had a little boy born, as you guys know about Dakir. He is going to probably be very curious and start wandering around and wanting to know what it entails to search for the different clams and to hopefully figure out what his destiny will be. And he has a very special destiny I have in mind for this beautiful violet-eyed seer. He is a seer. He's one of our first male seers, actually, and he does have the panda pattern too, so I don't think he has as strong of seer sight as if he had no panda pattern, but to my knowledge he's one of our few and very first seers who is red antlered and can crack open the shells. And he's very young, so he is staying near Oka, who I think is his mother, and just kind of staying with the whole tribe. Okay, we do have some undefended babies, so I'm going to scooch her over. Alright, Tagaris, let's scoot you over so you can watch after all of the little ones, and we're actually going to have Tagaris get ready to have another baby. But little Dakir is actually one of the main creatures we're going to be keeping an eye on here at Mother's Peninsula, even though there are babies running and tumbling all over the place, and Honoro was quite happy to have so many young ones to teach and so many young ones to share all of the lessons and legends that he has collected with. So Mother's Peninsula is very busy. Oh, and then I almost forgot we have another mother, Nami, over here, and she, oh, apparently there's a fish right here to eat. There are fish over here. Ravan can come and get this fish. Ravan, you are just gloriously beautiful. And Ravan does not have the cracking ability. Otherwise, he might have a little bit of seer sight. He just has the antlers, but man, he is so handsome. All right, he's going to go ahead and collect up those fish, and I'll say he was sharing them with the two ladies. Pretty sure Nami just became pregnant with Ravan's children, maybe? Maybe not. I don't know. I don't remember who fathered Nami's child. So we're going to get Nami over to Mother's Peninsula. And oh, look. Yes, perfect. She's able to jump up into the nest. And can I actually send... I think Honoro just saw that bunny. Can he reach it? Nope, it's a water. Oh, 2 water buns. So many water buns. Hopefully we'll be able to collect up the meat from them. So Honoro is just really happy. There's so many babies around Mother's Peninsula. There's more coming, and he's starting to be able to train his children up in the legends and the lessons of the seers of the tide pool. And they're probably celebrating the fact that little Dakir has been born, and he seems to have seer sight, one of the first males that we have in recent memory with seer sight. And as soon as Dakir gets to open up his very first clam shell, I think he may recently learned something very, very interesting, because on the other side of the island, we actually have another little one that many of you guys have pointed out meets all of the qualifications, every last one, for being a powerful seer. So we decided that the genetics that affect the seers and give them really strong seer sight are if they are able, well, no, she doesn't meet one of them. I knew it. I knew she was missing something. But Chorus over here actually doesn't have the cracking ability. Darn, that throws my plans into the winds. I was totally going to have her end up Dakir's mate, because Chorus would have had the cracking ability. She has the antlers, the beautiful red antlers. She has the no patterned fur. So those two aspects would have been really strong, but she lacks the ability to crack open things. So never mind, Chorus. I'm sorry, guys. A lot of you guys were like, Seri, you're not paying attention to how Chorus has the special abilities, and she's super strong. However, her brother over here, who Canoe Duke, actually does have the ability to... Nope, he doesn't. You guys, I was led astray. I was looking through all the comments and everybody was like, the Lost Peninsula children have the abilities to be able to be seers. No, unfortunately they don't. So that kind of changes my plans. I was going to have a far-flung romance with the Lost Peninsula children and our little seer, but alas, it is not to be. So we're going to have Canoe Duke come over and he'll keep an eye on his little sister. What can she do? She can kind of do a little fishing. So she may hang out with Duke Drio. I'm not sure when or if she'll ever have a mate, but I really think Canoe Duke is quite handsome, and he's got a lot of strength to his name. So I wonder if now that he's an adult, he might feel pulled over to the land, the inland though, kind of where we have Solo. Oh, Solo, is this your last day with us, buddy? Solo, I'm gonna miss you. Oh, guys. Okay, so little old Solo is quite old now. And he's going to spend his final moments staring at that crab that just ran by and clearing away some of the grasses nearby, so that he's been working on clearing the path, just like the Lost Peninsula offspring were tasked with, to make sure that there are clear paths so that when the day comes that the tribe moves to the next island, which, yes, thank you guys, I know is not the final island, then they will have a clear path in order to find their way through. Oh, I'm going to miss the Lost Peninsula boys. Oh my goodness. All right, so what are we going to do with little Chorus? She is very strong, and I imagine if some of the wandering males that we have, which really are kind of composed of the males that don't really have a lot of skills in any other area and can move pretty far, if they ever wander over her way, maybe we'll end up having the Lost Peninsula spread that way, or maybe we'll end up finding another rogue male. I'm almost ready to like gently pass up on our rogue male adventure that we were having, just trying to see what it would be like to breed up rogue male babies, because I really want to focus on getting to the next island. So Chorus, you may not have to mate with a rogue male. I may actually pick a proper mate for you. Celebrate, little one. I'm pretty sure that would make me happy if I were you. All right, we're gonna have her move over. She can't see very well, but she and her brother may start attacking the crabbits. And then she's got another brother over here. Duke Drio actually has the ability to crack shells, but he doesn't have, and he has no pattern fur, but he doesn't have the antlers. And I think the antlers are probably the most important part of that entire equation. So we'll see if he can manage to find any clam shells. I think I saw that there was one hiding down here when we had Canoe Duke down there. All right, so they're taken care of. And then over here, we have beautiful Rira, who was so in love with and really, really cared for the mother of Isria. So Isria's mother, and let me see if I can pull her up, because I want to make sure I get all of their names correct. Isria. There's so many. I wish there was an easier way to sort. Izana has passed away, and Izana was indeed the last of the most recent seers. She wasn't very strong altogether because she actually had very bad short-sighted eyes, so she wasn't ever able to practically go out and collect up the clams to break open and read the omens from within the clans and the sands. I mean, if you can't see the ocean into the distance, it's really hard to study what the seaweed looks like, and it's hard to study the way the waves move to be able to tell the omens of the tides. So Izana wasn't able to do that very well. That's why she never served as an official seer, but she did have the last really like perfect lineup. She had the ram horns instead of antlers, but she's the closest we've come to having the traditional seer look since we lost Izila. So that was our beautiful Izana, and she and Rira really, really deeply cared for one another, and Rira took good care of Izana for as long as she could, helping guide her through the world, helping her to find all of the clams, and together they actually were starting to really become a strong team, and Rira was able to help Izana start affecting the tribe in significant ways by finding all of the clams for her. So now that Izana has unfortunately passed away and left behind little Rira, who does have a common cold, which really shouldn't happen, I think that Rira is going to want to take good care of this baby. This is like the love of her life now. Little Isria, she is completely devoted to, and Isria does have the ability. I think this is who everybody was talking about. Isria does have some of the key abilities of a seer of the tide pool. She can crack open shells. She has red ram horns, even if they're not red antlers, and she's just missing like the antlers, and she's missing the no pattern fur, but I think she definitely has some of her mother's abilities. And I think Rira, I think I know what I'm going to do. We're going to take little Isria, and I'm going to say that Rira is worried about her. And although she wanted to take Rira down to the tide pools and start searching for clams now she's more concerned about the fact that Isria has become sick. So I think that Rira is going to want to bring Isria, and we'll jump over here. And Isria, how far can you move? We'll move you over here. I think that Rira is going to want to try to move Isria up to where rumors have it, and she has heard from Baria, and she's heard from Chet. Oops, I didn't mean for Chet to be gathering those berries, but I guess he's going to be sharing them with Isria. Chet is so cool, by the way. I love the way he looks like a little cheetah. But I think that these two would be explaining, this group over here would be explaining how they've heard rumors of a plant that could possibly help heal Isria, and that's actually this plant right over here. And thank you guys for letting me know. What appears to let the plant have its health fruit grow back is if you go outside of its if you go outside of viewing it and it goes back into shadows, then the plant will grow back. So we'll definitely take care of that. But I think that Rira is going to guide little Isria over there as soon as she can. Right now though, we'll just collect up some berries because we don't want to leave Isria's side until she's old enough to be left on her own. And then over here we have Mirami. Finally had one of her last children. I love Mirami. She has missed her mate so much, and he unfortunately passed away. Cookie passed away a long time ago. And we have little Kook here, and little Kook here, it looks like he is just going to be one of our wandering males because he doesn't really have anything in particular. Very low strength, very low collecting. Well, it's like low collecting. At least it's collecting. He can't crack anything, so I don't think we'll be breeding him unless we need the immunity D gene for something. But as I've pointed out in the past, and a lot of you guys are pointing out, the immunity D genes aren't really that important. Like, the immunity genes aren't really that important right now. They're not that important at the moment in the game because it doesn't seem to do anything. We'll remember that for the future, and I love the fact he has poison fang secondary, so maybe as a wandering male he might manage to wander his way over to the Lost Peninsula females, or over to... No! Why did your name change, little guy? What are we gonna name you now? I can't remember what you were named. I think I can't remember what he was named, but I guess he's getting a new name now. Something to do with movement and speed. Speed. Let's see. Cheetahs are fast. Flash is fast. I hate it when I have to come up with names on the fly like this. It's not fair. Quick, Mirami, what are you going to name your little stripy child who moves quickly? We'll name him Spina? No, I have no idea. If we're gonna name him, let's see, he's a little stripy, he's got a little flippy tail, and he's got black eyes, so I'm gonna name him Renar. Renar. There we go. I was thinking of like little wrens, the birds that move so quickly. Whew. All right, so Mirami has her last little child, and he'll just be one of our wandering males, and he may wander his way up either to the Lost Peninsula, or he may wander his way over to the Dark Forest, which is really where the bulk of our big breeding efforts for more powerful and stronger creatures are going, and we'll discuss them in just a second. All right, Biria, you are finally old enough to get moving, and Biria has some really good traits that that I like to see. She's got some strength. She's got the venomous fangs. She has a little bit of collecting, and she's pretty healthy across the board. And she has panda pattern as some of her secondaries. So I think that we're going to have Beria come over, and she can help with some of the deeper exploring that we're doing into the grasses right now. And Mirami is just going to stay exactly where she's at. I love this girl. And actually, this is the nest she was born in, if I remember correctly. So she's going to stay where she's at and just tend to her last son. And thank you guys for pointing out that the fact the babies are getting sick so often is probably because the nest is actually on a swamp tile. So that just lends credit to the fact that the ancestors were not content with the tribe being here on this spot, and away from the Mother's Peninsula. So, and speaking of the Mother's Peninsula, what are you guys gonna do? Radhan, you have some beautiful genetics, sir. I love that fishing tail. I love that strength. I kind of want him to maybe move north for a little bit, and maybe bump into my females in the shadows. So we'll have to see. And then Anasi can collect clams and she can eat them, but she doesn't really have a lot of other skills. I think I was moving her up north. Yeah, I think I was moving her up north. We'll move her over towards the berry bushes to start with. And then I'm going to have Radhan collect from that koi fish, and I think he might move up north too, where I have the females that we're currently trying to breed stronger creatures with. And then finally, we've got some impatient little boys who are probably ready to start exploring now that they're old enough. So we'll probably have these two. Vanro has underwater breathing and collecting, but he doesn't have fishing either. That's so, how is that gonna help me? He can help chase fish to people who can fish, but he can't fish himself. So sigh. At least he's got a little bit of collecting, so we'll move him over here so he can help out with collecting. And then meanwhile, don't forget that our lovely Rila has finally come of age, and Rila is actually regarded as possibly a female that all of the boys are really excited about over here. She was born from one of our Lost Peninsula females who was the daughter of a rogue, and she's actually the daughter of a rogue herself. And she doesn't have traits that you would consider extremely enticing, except for the fact she has blue eyes as a recessive, and she does have that I and H immunity. But as I mentioned, immunity is not really that important, but I still just love the idea that maybe because she looks so different and because she came from a mysterious faraway place, all of the boys, the red-headed spotty boys who were born in the waterfall nest, are very protective of her and maybe falling in love with her. So we may end up having some babies from Rila in the future. Little Koki over here, I think he's going to go ahead. Yeah, he's going to go ahead and collect up some of these clam shells. And then Lanako, unfortunately, we have another great underwater breather and swimmer who can't do any fishing. That's so frustrating. But she can do a little bit of attack, so she can work with some of the others. In fact, Kovan is finally one of the ones who has some of the traits that I really want to go for when it comes to my little fishers, because he has the ability to crack open shells, like the one he is sitting on. He also has the ability to do a teensy bit of fishing, to breathe underwater, all of those things. The ability to crack shells for the clams that he might discover, the ability to breathe underwater, and the ability to do fishing. Like, you need to have those things, or really, I guess, feeding underwater would work? We'll think about that in the future. But anyway, point being, if you see a spotty or webbed-footed, red-headed little boy around here, like Radhan, Koki, Kuvan, or Sansi, then probably they are somewhat enamored with Rila, because it was like Rila grew up in a household full of brothers, but then they all come of age and realize, well, actually, we're not related and I might have a crush on you. So that's the situation over here. And then Sansi I'm going to be careful with so that we don't get him hurt. He's got really good attack, actually. Sansi, and you've got those purple eyes, you've got poison fangs, you've got panda. Sansi is another one of the handsome males that might have to wander up to the north at some point in the future, but not right now. All right, so everybody's doing good. We've got pregnant mamas sitting on their nest. We've got a bunny taunting Radhan. He might end up chasing the bunny all the way up to the north. And then up here, we actually have Kuki, who I have been trying to get over to the tribe that we have going on with the dark pandas of the forest for quite a while. And we're going to have him... Let me clear these away. We're going to have him end up mating with them pretty soon. And then Ryal is actually old enough to start wandering around and exploring. So just a really quick explanation and update for our goals for the pandas of the dark forest, you guys. I do believe that these guys, I'm no longer going to focus on trying to get them up to... I'm trying to get them up to like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 strength right now. Right now, I think the average strength on my creatures being somewhere around 5 is fantastic, because a lot of you guys pointed out that if we make the creatures, I don't think big body will slow them down, but depending on the traits we add, we could make them a lot slower, and I don't want to sacrifice too much speed. So I would love to see nimble fingers and claw, for instance. And then that would add a little bit more strength to this guy. He's got 2 big body. I don't think big body will innately slow them down at all, now that I look at it. Lean body would make them a little faster. But if we got rid of runner's leg, that would slow them down. And I do like having the poisoned fangs, actually, because that adds some strength. So yeah, we'll be careful. We may try to breed in lean body instead, but I don't know. I feel like 3 movement isn't terrible, to be honest. So this may be, Rael may end up being kind of like our archetype for our base goal of what we want to see, except for maybe switching the tail, but I don't think it really hurts to have a fishing or swimming tail. That doesn't really do anything. But yeah, we're going to, instead of have to sit here and just breed up until we have something like, 6 or 8 strength, I think that the pandas are getting a little bit impatient. And as long as they have fangs to be able to bite with, and as long as they have a little bit more attack than just their fangs, I think they'll think about moving out of here and moving on, because I do want to try to keep nimble fingers so they have the cracking ability when there's not other sources of food available. So maybe we'll get rid of, if we got rid of runner's leg and had like 1 nimble finger and 1 claw, maybe that would be the ideal archetype for what we want. So and that means I need to change up what I have in here. I was thinking cracker jaw would be good, because then we could have cracking and then we could double up on our claws and have like 4 strength, which would be awesome. But we may mess with that in the future, because I would rather have venomous fangs where you can bite a creature and then run off. So let me go ahead and just swap in claw instead, and we'll see. And ram horns. If I could have gotten ram horns on Rael, he would have had even more strength. So all right. Rael has a lot of great collecting, and he's very young, so we're going to send him over here. Aha! And he already found himself a brand new berry bush. Fantastic. And then we're going to have, oh boy, I don't like the sound of that. And I'm going to actually have Toomey come down, and she's going to be called by her sister Beryl, who is kind of leading this group right now, to try to work her way over to where the tree is so that we can start gathering up the nuts from under the tree. And meanwhile, Toomey is cooing over her child, whose name just cracks me up. I love little Anna, and she's got pretty okay abilities. I would have loved if we could have swapped out those runner legs for even just 1 nimble finger or 1 claw, but now you guys just know Rael is kind of like the goal-ish of what we're going for. And I think once we just have enough creatures, like maybe, I think, how many can we take? Is it 9? I think once we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that I'm comfortable with, we may move on. And of course, after we finish exploring the island. So exploring and breeding up strong creatures are kind of the goals that we're working on right now. And I think Beryl is going to step forward, and she's going to demand that Kooky make himself known to her and explain what he's doing here and why he wants to come near the forest, because he's probably going to be the father of her next child, since he's got really good genetics. He's also got the poison fangs. He's got good normal eyesight, healthy blood, and we'll have to see what kind of babies they make. But all right, and we've also got something rustling over here that I think little Rael might dive in and try to deal with. All right, so now that everybody is all sorted out, except for right down here where we have little Leah, she's going to go ahead and eat her little berries and rest, because she's old and about to pass away, unfortunately. Let's scooch over here, and we're going to see the birth, and I think that little Anasi is probably curious and wants to come down here. We're going to see the birth of Tigaris and Nami's next children. So let's go ahead and settle in and see what's going to happen. Also, let me know, you guys, if I've been moving quick enough. I've been trying to move creatures as quickly as we have them born, or as much as we're talking about them now. So I'm trying to ease up on the story. We don't do summaries anymore, really, other than when I'm just like pointing out what they're going to do. All right, so Nami has had a very interesting, very promising child that I really love the look of. Oh, and she's Raciana. It's almost like having Raciana reborn. Do you guys remember we had a little one who kind of had a name like this? That is so cool. And does she have the ability to crack things? She does! Oh my goodness! So she definitely has some seer strength, you guys. And she has a fishing tail. Oh my gosh, I really love the whole lineup that she's got going on. I might have to send her north to breed because this is awesome. All right, so she is expecting, she is a nimble-fingered collector. So she does have some seer strength, and that's going to be really wonderful. I'm really, really happy that Nami, born as the last child of Dido, I really feel like now seeing how she just keeps having all these babies who have seer abilities, it really is like the tides have forgiven her for the selfishness that she used to have. So that's wonderful. And then we have a black antlered little one. I haven't seen a little guy like this in so long. He's so cool. I love him. Oh my goodness. So we have little Dooku. And I really love his look. He looks very classic to some of our other creatures. Nothing really outstandingly special about him. I really need to start swapping those runner legs maybe. It does give him collecting at least. So he can kind of collect things, but I really love that he has the black antlers. And I really hope that the tribe doesn't decide that that's like bad news bears to have black antlers. All right, and what are you doing, little Kuduk? I didn't mean to get you completely unguarded. So let's move him. And let's go ahead and see what the moms are going to do. Nami is probably going to take care of her baby and not budge today. This little one is probably going to come up and play with everybody. Honesty is ready to start exploring. She doesn't have underwater breathing, but she can help with gathering up berries and she can help with searching out clams. So I think we'll move her over towards this direction. And then her brother, Nuta, can crack open clam shells, but he really is better at gathering berries, so I think we'll move him up here to work on that. And then down here we have little Takir, who I think would just kind of jump around all over the place, keeping with his parents. And then Ravan, who I think is going to start moving more towards the north, and Anasi as well, so she's going to scooch up here. She's going to be protecting the berry bushes and collecting from the berry bushes. Ravan is going to go into the water and be chasing down the bunnies because he's going to see all the bunnies and fish and really start working his way up this direction. We have little Vanro, and he is pretty interesting. He can breathe underwater, but he can't really do anything. So we may just have him kind of be a bit of an explorer, and maybe, I mean, all he can really do is like collect from berry bushes. So I feel sort of like tongue-tied a little bit, like I don't really know what to do with you, Ravan, so I think I'm gonna send him up to this berry bush by the waterfall. All right, and then I think Rila is gonna go after that delicious bunny, and Rila is old enough now. I think that we may have Ravan go ahead and romance Rila, and she can pop over to the waterfall nest before he keeps moving up to the north. And then let's see what's going on here with Koki. He can gather up fish and he can also attack things. Lanako can really move in the water actually, so she might do a little exploring here. And then Kovan can also he can do everything. Like Kovan, I might have him come over and say hello to Oraoka. Let's see. It's not a terribly great idea, but I think they might have some interesting children because I would really love to see that special fishing ability and the swimming ability passed on. How does she have? She has her fishing tail, so maybe we'll see what happens there. I'll have him start moving that direction. And then little Koki, he really helps out with, his best thing is defense. We may start sorting creatures by like their best abilities, defense and also fishing. So maybe he'll come up and help out with protecting or like fishing along here. And maybe collecting, because there's some bushes up here he could probably be responsible for. And I bet he'd be a little jealous of his brother, Ravan. All right, and then we have, let's see, a little Crabbit. Sansi and the Crabbit are facing down. I'm not really sure what to do with most of the guys to the south down here around Mother's Peninsula because there's so many of them, but I'm not really sure exactly what their different roles should be. So that's why I'm kind of just experimenting with sending them around. I'm not focusing too intensely on what the genetics are going to be down here for everybody having babies. What I'm really interested in is what's going on over here. Also, it looks like there's some trouble up here. So let's see what's happening. We may have a very curious Nunu wanting to know what all this racket is. It seems like it's bunnies. And I think we would have a very, very curious Rael, but he would gather up the berries because he wants to decide, he wants to figure out what all this noise is about first. And then let's go ahead and scooch little Anna over. She can go ahead and stand by her mother right over here. And we'll have Toomey get a little bit of berries to kind of satisfy her hunger, kind of glance over her shoulder to make sure that everything is safe by the grasses, and then pop next to her sister to settle in and prepare to have her next baby. And meanwhile, her sister is probably going to be having a conversation with Cookie over here. So I have now effectively put in claw and ram horn to what we want to try to add into our panda family. So I'm going to go ahead and see if Cookie can impress Beryl enough to have more children. And they should probably start pumping out more babies so I can mess around with their genetics pretty soon. All right, and then meanwhile we have Berea. And Berea is really, I think I'm going to change everybody who's really kind of just my explorers right now are going to have the little yellow icons. And I know that that's going to be the group that's mostly going around sort of clearing the grasses and showing me what I can expect to find. Oh, and look, little Isria is finally old enough to be on her own safely. So I think that Rira is going to gather little Isria right over here, and she's going to guide the little child that she's protecting and loves so much because she loved her mother so much over to this fruit. So now we can heal Isria, and hopefully she can help out and have a bigger role in the Seers of the Tide Pools. Meanwhile, we have lost one of our little guys, one of our little males whose job it was to clear the way to the Lost Peninsula. He lived well. It was quite wonderful to see how much he contributed to the family. And then we will send this little girl down here, and she and her brother can feast on crabbits, and Dogdrio can come down. And I think I'm looking for any clams over here. Really, if I had the ability to do like the digger claw or the ability to do underwater feeding, I think we could get a lot further. So we may think about having some digger claw added in. Does digger claw add in any strength? Nope. You think it would, it's huge. But all right, the grasses are really starting to rustle, so we're gonna start having our explorers. I'm gonna make sure I task the ones that are explorers properly. Really just start pouring through and exploring everything. We're going to have Mother's Peninsula, basically, I think is mostly just going to be a group that we keep an eye on. I don't think Honoro would really go that far from the children to make sure everybody is safe. Mother's Peninsula is basically going to be a group that we just kind of breed up for fun over here and just see if we can get a seer. If we can get one or two really strong seers, they will definitely go to the next island to carry on the seer line there, especially once they crack open a clamshell and see that that's what their future is supposed to be. All right, so we're making some good progress. We're starting to really experiment. I'm gonna have to do some serious thinking about what genetics to put in to try to have a stronger panda, like shadows of the panda forest, pandas of the shadows. There we go. Line, I'm gonna have to see what they do. But I think I'm ready to start tucking in and just really focusing on breeding. And as far as the stories for the Mother's Peninsula goes, there's just so many babies. We're just going to start sending them where they seem like they'd be the most useful and just letting babies run wild because we can afford to because we have so much food. Maybe I shouldn't have that many more creatures though because we're starting to get a little bit tight on keeping the food balance. So we'll see how things go, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.